So once you follow the ideology or the philosophy of the coaching, means you are there, right? So you are doing the basic thing right. Once you do the basic thing right, now I'm going to cover what are the responsibilities coach has towards the client, right? Again, these are the, say, I can say the uh, ICF recommended responsibilities, and I think they are in depth, means they have really thought on each and every aspect. The point number one, the number one responsibility what a coach has, and please stop me whenever you want, because I want every one of us to be very clear on each and every point, right? Because in future, the importance to the ethics, importance to the behavioral intelligence, right, is going to increase like anything. People who are ethical, the people who have the credibility, and the coaching is a very coaching is a profession where the credibility plays a great importance, right? So means you need to be very clear on this aspect. If you have any question, stop me. Matlab, I don't have any issue that is okay, you are breaking my flow and all that. You please stop me whenever you want to stop me. So the point number one, the number one responsibility what a coach has towards client is explain and ensure that prior to the start of the coaching sessions or a coaching journey, right? So the client or the sponsor, why I'm saying the sponsor, because in executive coaching there are sponsors as well. So the client and sponsor understand the nature and potential value of coaching. That is what coaching is, what value coaching is going to give it to you, the nature and limits of confidentiality. Why limits of confidentiality? Because confidentiality has a limit. For example, in executive coaching, right, you have to disclose some information to the sponsor, because it is the sponsor who is giving you the business. So the clients or that employee and sponsor organization and you should have a very clear understanding about what is the confidentiality in this particular tri-party arrangement. Also, like we have already discussed with a poll, that is anything which is contrary to the law, right? So the law is above the confidentiality clause, right? So if there is anything unlawful activity, then that particular confidentiality clause is null and void, right? So this is called as limits of confidentiality. Financial arrangements, right? So the means what will be the payment, the clause, if there is a delay in payment, if you extend it, right? Means if you complete the coaching in advance, because for example you are taking a contract of, for example, 12 sessions, but if you complete it in the 10 sessions, then what will happen? Because always you uh, have to think about the probabilities, if this will happen, what is, so that clarity should be there at the start, and any other terms in the coaching agreement. And this is the reason why there has to be a coaching agreement. Now, in the point number two, I will again explain the importance of a coaching agreement. Point number two is create an agreement or contract regarding the roles, responsibilities, and rights of all parties involved with client and sponsor prior to the commencement of the services. And why I'm emphasizing this, because the program is called as Global Coach Certification Program, right? In India, maybe few things are, say, bit relaxed, but I know there are countries wherein you, if you do a single mistake, people will file a case on you, right? So it is very sensitive. So the contracting or the coaching agreement, why? Because I don't want to confuse you, because the session to session contracting or the goal is a totally separate process. I'm talking about the coaching agreement before commencement of the, and it is mandatory. Means if you are passing out from Master My Life Global Coach Certification Batch, you have to do coaching agreement with your client. It is must, right? There are many coaches who do not sign a formal agreement. It is wrong. You have to sign a formal agreement, whether it is executive coaching, business coaching, relationship coaching. Maybe the agreement of the executive coaching can be more comprehensive, right? The agreement of the relationship coaching may not have all those particular clause, but still the agreement has to be there, still the clarity has to be there, both the parties need to sign, right? So this is a ethical standard. This is not only for the commercial purpose, this is a ethical standard. So point number 2, any question on the agreement, coaching agreement, before we proceed with the code of conduct? Any question?
Sir, I have one question. May I ask?
Yeah, of course.
Sir, is there any standard format for just having that kind of agreement?
Yes. So that particular format is part of our coach study guide, wherein there is a template of this particular coach agreement, right? So so it is already there. You go through the coach study guide and you will find that particular format of the initial coach agreement. Okay?
Okay, and you mean that for every every client, we need to go with this written agreement only?
Yes. For every coaching assignment, before you start the formal coaching session, right? Means so this is the reason I have already given you the document of discovery session, right?
Okay.
Have you gone through that document, Ajit?
Yes, sir.
So in that particular document, we are sending mail to the client, right? So in that particular mail, what we are sending to the client in that email? Refer to that document. If you don't remember, refer to that document. We will wait.
I really, that we used to saying details of our coaching process. So
no. So there are 2 documents you have to mail to the client. What are those documents? So
what we are supposed to do?
Yeah. So I have already circuited that 4 stages of the discovery session. Na? So in that particular 4 stages of discovery session, there is a paragraph wherein coach sends 2 attachments, emails 2 attachments to the client. Which are those attachments? So if anyone else?
I will add. Just
okay. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I'm unable to get, in fact, but I have gone through that. Yeah.
No problem. So anyone else who remembers those 2 attachments?
Are you referring to the coaching agreement and the questionnaire?
Correct. Yes. So these are the 2 attachments. One is called as coaching agreement and the second is a pre-coaching questionnaire, right? So the agreement is a proper format with all the terms and conditions, including commercials, that you mail to the client before you start the formal relationship. See, the contracting is a law binding process. You cannot start the contract after the coaching session, right? So it's a process, right? So what is the contract law? So before you start a formal relationship, there has to be a contract, there has to be agreement between the 2 parties. So that is the agreement. So that particular format you are going to have, right? So it is already part of our coach study guide. Means if you read the coach study guide, you will find it. Purposely, I am not going to post that particular agreement format on the WhatsApp group, so that you will search the coach study guide and find that particular format. And then a pre-coaching questionnaire. Why the pre-coaching questionnaire is necessary, right? Now, for example, we are into this particular program, right? So we already have a student information sheet. I know your name, your LinkedIn profile, your highest qualifications, right? Your photograph, right? So this is the basic. This is the basic of relation. If I am dealing with you, if I am going to certify you, right? I am responsible to give you certification, right? So I have to know you, na? So it should not happen that there is some kind of problem in future, and ultimately that will come to the institute as well. So like that, when you are starting a relationship, Ajit, so
Yes, sir. Yeah.
forget about that document now. Now you focus on the session.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So in a pre-coaching questionnaire, you are asking all the right questions, and
Right.
again, that particular format is there in our coach study guide, and which you can improvise. I'm not saying that is the ideal format. So based on your collective intelligence, and maybe we can have some group activities during our program, wherein as a group you can even improvise those particular formats, because it's a continuous improvement process anyway. So there you are asking right questions. Are you suffering
Okay.
from any mental illness, right?
Okay.
Are you going for psychotherapy, something like that? So if they give you any wrong, you will have the records with you, that is okay, I have started my relationship with this particular
Okay.
understanding in mind, right? Means I'm not saying that the pre-coaching questionnaire is only for your safety, but your safety is one of the aspect of
Coaching
coaching
questionnaire.
questionnaire. And another aspect is, of course, okay, I'm getting some sound. Okay. Another aspect is, of course, to know your client. In a pre-coaching questionnaire, you are free to ask some pertinent questions to the client to increase your awareness on the client. Right. So these are the two things you have to do before you start a formal coaching relationship. Any question, any doubt, any reservation on this? रिजर्वेशन है, नहीं नहीं हमको ये नहीं करने का है, इसका कोई जरूरत नहीं है, राइट? कोचिंग इज मोर पर्सन टू पर्सन रिलेशनशिप, ये फॉर्मल क्या है इतना? है कोई डाउट? डाउट नहीं है तो गुड.
I have a question.
Yes.
You know, once we email the client, is it if the client just says yes, I accept the terms in the email, or they have to actually do like a
Sign na. So it's a format. It's a format where
Yeah,
coach is signing and the client is signing. So the client क्या करेगा? आपको साइन करके PDF आपको वापस करेगा.
that means they have to print it out and then sign.
Yeah. Yes.
Or
It's
can
very
they
formal.
electronic sign?
Of course, yeah. That is also okay. But when I say the electronic signs, means there are two possibilities, right? One is they are putting the PDF image of their sign on the document, and then they are sending that PDF to you. And the second is they already have the e-signature.
Correct.
Either of the two is all right.
But it won't suffice that they just say yes in the email.
No. Answer is no.
Okay.
So, हाँ, इंडिया में चलेगा, लेकिन आप इंटरनेशनली फंसोगे.
Okay.
So since you are getting ready to become a coach at a global level, you please follow these processes. ये क्या है? प्रैक्टिस की बात है. मतलब if you start your coach journey with the all these kind of systems and all that, then for you it becomes a very simple point. लेकिन अगर आपने स्टार्ट ठीक से नहीं किया एंड बाद में अगर आपको करने का है, वो थोड़ा सा डिफिकल्ट जाता है.
Correct. Okay. That's
Sir, just
Yes.
one more question.
Yes.
Just to be on the same page.
Correct.
There are list of around close to 16 questions. What I'm understanding is before or once the contract is in place, you want the person to actually answer those questions in written format before you actually have a face-to-face or a video meeting or in-person meeting.
Yes.
So that you can do the groundwork, be prepared, understand the coaching, and start the conversation from point B instead of point A. Is that a fair understanding?
Yeah, it's a fair understanding, and means I want to add further to it, but yes, it's a fair understanding. Okay. What is the real sequence in practice? Means how the coach and the coachee actually interact in practice. The first session is never a discovery session, right? मतलब आपको इंक्वायरी आई है ना, आपने डिस्कवरी चालू की, ऐसा नहीं होता है, right? So the first session will be the introductory session, right? The client will have an inquiry either on your Facebook page or LinkedIn page, or send email or call you from some reference and all that. जैसे वो आपको जो इंट्रोडक्टरी जो कॉल है ना, इमीडिएटली उसके बाद में आपको उसको डिस टेस्ट देनी की है एंड द लाइफ पर्पस टेस्ट देनी की है इमीडिएटली. वो मतलब वो एक मिनट, आई विल, ओके, विकी हैज बीन एडिट, ओके, बाय डिफॉल्ट है, राइट? बाय डिफॉल्ट आपको करने का है. अच्छा, वो क्यों करने का है मैं आपको बोलता हूँ, राइट? मतलब हम जो भी कुछ करते हैं, ऑलवेज देयर इज सम पर्पस बिहाइंड इट, बिकॉज there is no point in doing something which is going to just spend our time. What is the purpose? Once you understand their disk profile and the life purpose, you will manage discovery session much better. Now you know how I have to talk to this particular person, right? What is the behavioral profile of this particular person? What is the real motivation? What are the strengths of this particular person? All this information now you are going to get. Now, are you going to do the session only based on this? No, but this is a great information you are having. So you are now prepared. And I do it, means I absolutely practice it, right? Once you do it, you will find that your conversation is much more effective and the result oriented. With the D, you are going to talk differently, I differently, S differently, C differently, and they will appreciate what you are talking because they feel that, okay, there is a connect between coach and coachee, right? So these tests help you. But now, during the conversation, if you get a contrary information, right, then you have to basically give more importance to the real-time information, right? See, the dealing with the human being is always complex, right? Just because the test result is like that, because you don't know the current psychological condition of that particular person, वो किस emotional stress में है, उसके लाइफ में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है क्या. So irrespective of his behavior profile, during that call, he might behave differently. So you have to give more impetus to the real time situation कि अभी इसके दिमाग में क्या है, and then you have to basically adjust. So these particular two, so the introductory call, after introductory call, this test and the life purpose test. Then once you get those results, you process those results. I fully understand that right now you are not expert into analyzing disk and flexing your behavior for the disk, but you are going to be, right? आपको क्या करने का है, आपको जो रिकॉर्डिंग है वेबिनार का 55 मिनट्स का, वो आराम से देखने का, एंड अगर कोई भी क्वेश्चंस है, कोई भी क्वेश्चन है आपको मुझे पूछने के. व्हाई? बिकॉज मींस एट एवरी सेशन we are giving you opportunity that do you have any question, you have any question at the start of any session, you ask me. That is okay, we have gone through the recording but we are not understanding that is how to use this particular information, I will respond to you, right? Life purpose is a straight case, you get the strengths and all that. Now once you, during the discovery session, once you appreciate the client for their strengths, you develop a connection, right? So in the last session, what one of our students told Pallavi, that is okay, tell me what you like in my coaching session. Human nature, human tendency. What is human tendency? Human tendency is कि भैया आप एक कोई तो अच्छा फीडबैक दे दो, राइट? तो जब आप वो करते हो, इट स्टार्ट्स बेसिकली डेवलपिंग द कनेक्शन. इसके लिए वो life purpose test. Then you go for that particular discussion of 30-40 minutes, which is a discovery session. In the discovery session, at the end of the discovery session, you send then the agreement as well as the pre-coaching questionnaire. You get those particular agreement and the pre-questionnaire signed. Now, क्या वो immediately sign करेगा? No. कोई उसका क्वेश्चन रहेगा, वो आपको पूछेगा कि भैया मतलब एग्रीमेंट में आपने ये मेंशन किया है, इसका मीनिंग क्या है. देयर माइट बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी दैट दे विल negotiate with you, or during the discovery session itself they are going to ask you. More than 50% of the clients are going to ask you during the discovery session, that is how much you are going to charge me. It's a common sense, right? So maybe in a discovery session itself you are going to give that particular information, and the agreement, whatever information you have given on commercials or whatever you have discussed, negotiated and all that, that will be the part of the agreement. Then you get that agreement signed, then you get that pre-coaching questionnaire signed. Now what Rasik said, that in our coach study guide, there is a pre-coaching questionnaire with a 16 questions. That is just a recommendation. That is not the final pre-coaching questionnaire. What I would like you to do, that during our this particular journey, we are going to have few sessions wherein as a group, you will study the questionnaire and you will add value and you will come up with our pre-coaching questionnaire. Right?
Got it. Yeah, it's a framework. I do understand.
It's a framework, right? So each coach can have a different pre-coaching questionnaire, but as a batch, as a MML Global Coach Certification batch, the batch can add value and create our own questionnaire by taking the reference of the framework. So that is a pre-coaching questionnaire. अब देखो, right? अभी last time Pallavi ma'am commented that is okay, in a ICF call, in a recording call, you don't have to basically refer to the disk and live purpose, right? उसका जरूरत ही नहीं ना, क्योंकि मतलब you have got that particular thing before your discovery session ना. So now you don't have to talk to client, that is this is your disk profile and this is your life purpose. You take the essence of the disk profile and the life purpose and adapt your behavior. That's it. Test is a tool. The test result is the essence. So you will use your essence. तो आपको reiterate करने की भी जरूरत नहीं, किया तो कुछ गलत नहीं है, लेकिन reiterate करने की कोई जरूरत ही नहीं है, right? क्योंकि आप उसका already you are utilizing that particular inputs, right? So this is the process, right? Any question till this particular time? Yeah.
Sir, yeah. When to just go for this coachability index?
No, see what is coachability index as per you, Ajit?
See, whether coach is coachable or not, we are going to predict from on the basis of that thing.
बराबर है ना? So
yeah.
Now if you see what document I have given you for the discovery session, I am asking a question, few questions to the coachee.
Right.
One of the question is, how much time you are able to spend on the assignments related to our coaching. For example, अगर वो client बोलता है, I can't spend a single minute, वो तो फिर coachable है ही नहीं ना, क्योंकि without assignment and the working on the action, आप उसको coach कर ही नहीं पाओगे. Okay. Again, there is a question in the discovery session framework. That question is, are you undergoing any psychotherapy or the treatment and all that, right? अगर वो already psychotherapy का अगर वो treatment कर रहा है, so all the coachability test is infused into our discovery session itself. तो discovery session में आपको पता चलने वाला है कि ये बंदा coachable है या नहीं है. And अगर आपको लगता है वो coachable नहीं है, तो मतलब there is no question of you sending that person agreement, right? But अगर आपको लगता है after discussion of 30-40 minutes, right? Then that coachability is clear. So there need not be a test of coachability. Our questions, the answers and the response will see. What is coachability? आपको ये तय करने का है. You have to decide as a coach, right, whether the person is coachable, point number one, and I have to take this assignment or not. Means whether that coach and coachee, right, can produce results. आपको लगता है कि ये coachee coachable है, but maybe that coachee has to go to some other person, which is also code of conduct, which is also the ethical standard, Ajit.
Yes.
Right? Means if you take the client wherein you think that you are not the best fit So that
Okay.
means that you are not ethical. So आपको वो हमेशा client का best fit देखने का है.
Right. Right. Got it. Yeah.
Yes. ठीक है?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any question till this point in time? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Sir, I asked one of my friend to fill DISC profile test, and he sent me his result. And in his trait only there are 3 traits: steadiness, influence, and compliance. There is no dominant trait in his personality. So, is it possible?
Yes, yes, yes. So, have you attended my BQ webinar?
Yes,
में
sir.
है? हाँ,
Yes,
तो
sir.
उसका recording और एक बार देख लेना, उसमें उसका आंसर है.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah.
hello.
Yes.
I have one question on this coachability test. There is a scoring key also given, which says that if the coachee falls into the zone of 10 to 20, may not be coachable right now. So once we arrive at this particular conclusion through this initial pre-coaching questionnaire, how does one validate that? Is there any reliability or validity test to be done, or the coach has to decide? So,
Coachability need not be a formal test. There are formal tests of the coachability, but I do not recommend to conduct any formal test. Why? Because appreciative inquiry.
okay.
What is appreciative inquiry? That every human being is capable, whole person, and everything, right? So we don't have any business to basically test formally, but there are only 2 criteria of a coachability, right? Whether the person is coachable, whether the person is sincere about the coaching assignment, and whether the person is going to give adequate time to this particular coaching engagement is the number 1 point. Number 1 point. What is number 2 point? Am I the right person? Right? Is this particular relationship a right relationship? Right? If you are clear, that is okay. Coachee is going to give me adequate time, and this particular relationship means I'm going to add value, then I think it is very clear. And already in a discovery session, you already know about the coach's mental wellness and all that. So I think this is more than enough as far as the coachability is concerned. You don't have to conduct a test, right, for the coachability. ठीक है? So this is my recommendation. People can do it, but in my opinion, there is no need of conducting a formal coachability test in your discovery session and your interaction with the coachee before the coaching sessions. You will understand whether the person is coachable or not. Simple.
And sir, what are these kind of assignments you're talking about to give?
What?
You said that we'll be giving some assignments to the coachee, but if they're not ready to do the assignments, so what are these kind of assignments that you're talking about?
Assignments are the part of the coaching process, Tanya, right? Okay. Tanya, tell me, what is the coaching process? What are the phases in the coaching process?
I think you start with discovery, appreciative inquiry, and you're giving, first you're also going to say that, the discrimination thing about things staying between us and all of that. Then we probably move to like the analysis and, getting information.
Okay. See, coaching process is a very structured process. Anya, okay, so you can now mute yourself. So the first is basically a introduction phase in a coaching. Again, you refer to the document, what I have already circulated of a coaching session. I have circulated 2 documents. One is of a discovery session and one is of a coaching session, right? What is the phase 1? Phase 1 is introduction. In the introduction, you talk about confidential clause, you talk about the coaching relationship, right? You talk about the entire ecosystem and our understanding, right? And so it is as good as a building a trust, building a rapport, ice breaking with the coachee, reconfirming a few of the key aspects related to the confidentiality, privacy, coaching relationship, and everything. This is called as introduction phase. In each and every of your coaching session, there will be a introductory phase. Phase number 1. What is phase number 2? Phase number 2 is goal setting. In this particular coaching session, what we are going to achieve is called as goal setting, contracting, goal setting for a session. So again, means whenever you talk about the contracting or the goal setting, always qualify that contracting and goal setting for the session is the stage number 2. अभी आपने एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किया, एक आपने अभी एक एग्री किया कि नाउ दिस इज द गोल. नाउ what is the next stage? Next stage is called as discovery and evoking awareness. So during the discovery and evoking awareness, generally you start with the larger picture and then step by step you go to the specifics, and especially you do RCA, root cause analysis. You understand, right? And you, not only the discovery session is not for coach, because many times the coach is asking questions to get more information. I understand that, because in our practice session, there is no discovery session, there is no pre-coaching questionnaire. You do not have adequate information of the coach, and that is the reason you are asking questions. That I understand. But the discovery session is for the client. Let client discover and enhance his or her awareness about his current situation, opportunities, strengths, larger picture, values, whether the goal is related to the values or not, what exactly client want to do, why client want to do what he or she wants to do, what is the root cause of that particular desire or goal, because the desire or goal is at a surface level, right? So that particular iceberg theory, that particular goal statement, what client has said is the visible 10 to 15% of the portion. But why client is seeking that? Once you understand that, and once you create that particular awareness during the discovery and awareness session, the client might say, oh, now let me revise my goal. That is possible. Or client can say, okay, fine, now let us proceed with this goal. So this is the phase number 3 of the coaching process. Once you do it, what you have to do? You have to go for an action phase, Tanya. In the action phase, how client is going to take action? For that, you will design assignments. You will design assignments, you will design homework, you will design some activities, co-design. When I say you will design, means you will co-design it with the client, that is okay, to embark on the journey of your goal in the next 1 week or the 15 days period, right? We have agreed that you will do this. So this is called as giving assignment, co-designing assignment, right? So this is the phase 4 of the coaching process. And phase 5 of the coaching process is monitoring progress. Just giving the assignment, co-designing the assignment is not enough, right? So it should not happen that after 15 days, client will come and client will say, I have not done it. So that means you have wasted 15 days time, right? So what is the monitoring process? Wherein within that 15 days also, coach will monitor. And do you know this particular definition of monitoring? Definition of monitoring is not like how a teacher monitors a student. Ki aapne ye kiya kya nahi. No, that is not. The monitoring is not a policing work. Monitoring is not a teaching work. Monitoring is a supporting work. During that particular period, when you are monitoring and you are finding that the client is getting stuck, client is not in a position to act on this particular thing, you will provide support. So the monitoring with the ideology of providing support to the client, these are the 5 phases of the coaching process. Anya, are you now 100% clear on the coaching process?
Yes, sir.
And in the action phase, in the 4th phase, you have to co-design the assignments, was your question, right? But I purposely covered the entire process because I'm getting feel that is before we proceed with the coach competency development, you must be clear on the foundations of the coaching and the coaching process. So this is as good as a revision what I was talking about. Any question on the whatever I have covered till this particular point in time, including coaching process? Any question? Feel free, right? There is no hurry. right? We have ample time today to cover this particular competencies. At the end of the session, you will be 100% clear on the code of conduct. So don't worry regarding that.
So may I ask one question?
Of course.
Yes, sir. See, actually what happens, we have given some kind of assignment to client, right? And it is fixed that in next week, on next Sunday, we are supposed to meet again. In between, can coach call him and ask for his progress?
Absolutely, there is no problem. It
Okay.
depends on what you have agreed with the client. Na? Because
Okay.
you are also agreeing with the client on the monitoring mechanism.
Okay.
Whether you are going to monitor by phone call, whether you are going to have a small, both of your WhatsApp group, wherein client will send you message, or you are going to use the Trello board. So whatever is agreed mechanism, you follow that agreed mechanism. But that has to be agreed.
Okay, that has to be mentioned in agreement.
No.
It's
During your coaching session, see, what is the end of your coaching session? Monitoring progress.
Yes, sir.
Phase 5. In the
Right.
monitoring phase, you discuss with the client that is okay now. Why? Because the monitoring might change depending upon the assignment. Na?
Right, right.
Depending upon the nature of assignment. So you both
Yeah.
agree that is okay. This is how we are together going to monitor. Right. So this
Exactly,
is a
exactly.
joint, a co-monitoring process. And what is the objective of the monitoring, Ajit?
Actually, we have to confirm whether coach is on the track or not, whether he is just leading towards set goal or not.
Yeah, you are partially right. But the real objective is supporting coaching.
Oh, yeah. So to support him to be on track. That's what I mean.
Correct. So why? Because this is very important thing. Because if you are not doing monitoring with the objective of supporting coaching, it will boomerang. Because the
Oh.
adults do not like someone else to do follow.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Then they will dislike you. So that should not happen. So your subconscious mind has to be very clear that I am not doing monitoring for policing.
It's
I
a
am
support.
monitoring for supporting.
Yes, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, continuing with the coach responsibility towards client, point number 3 is maintain the accepted levels of confidentiality with all parties as agreed upon. Why again all parties? Because there can be some sponsors and all that. Means if there are no sponsors, if there is only you and coaching, then of course the confidentiality, whatever you have agreed. Now again, means I'm just touching this particular point, which we have discussed. Few of you might not have attended that particular session. So I'm taking this opportunity to re-emphasize that particular point, that the law is number 1. Your agreement with the coachee is below the law. It is not above the law, right? Means tomorrow, if the coachee will do some kind of unethical things or the anti-social thing, not unethical per se, but in my opinion, the anti-social things, which is detrimental to the society, right? Then that confidentiality is not applicable. Otherwise, police will arrest you that this is a terrorist. Just again, I'm giving a hypothetical example purposely, and you have not informed us, right? So the confidentiality is below the law. So in your agreement format, coaching agreement format with the coachee, you will have this particular clause, right? Asterisk. So the confidentiality. So coach will not maintain the confidentiality in this exceptional cases. So that you have to be clear. With that particular background, you will maintain the confidentiality. Any question on this particular confidentiality? Because this is a very important point, right? Any question, any ambiguity on this particular confidentiality clause? Okay. Point number 4 on the coach responsibility towards client is have a clear understanding about how information is exchanged among all parties involved during all coaching interactions. That means whether you will take notes, whether you will take audio recordings of the session, video recordings of the session, what part of the session information you are going to share with the sponsor, right? So all these, how the information is going to flow. So that has to be very clear, right? Between your understanding with the coachee, because coachee might have been sponsored, right? But the coachee has to know that is what you are going to share with his or her boss. So that coachee has to know from the day one. It should not happen that the coachee will afterwards come to know that is okay, means this information also you are sharing with the sponsor. So that clarity has to be there from the day one. So any question on this? On this information sharing, the flow of information, the clarity between the coach and coachee on how information is going to be stored and shared. This is very important point into the ethical code of conduct of a coach. No question? Okay. Point number 5 on the coach responsibility towards client is have a clear understanding with both client, sponsor, or interested parties or the stakeholders about the conditions under which information will not be kept confidential. That is illegal activity. If required by law, pursuant to the valid court order or all that, right? So that has to be very clear. Why I am saying this at a global level, these points are very important. मतलब इंडिया में 50% ऑफ द टाइम लोग छूट जाते हैं, राइट? लेकिन वो बाहर ऐसा नहीं होगा. The confidentiality and the privacy is very, very important in developed countries. So you need to be very clear. So that is the importance of the agreement, right? And of course, it is the so generally I prefer that is you will have the audio recordings of all the sessions, right? If you have the audio recordings of all the sessions with the permission of the client, then I think you have that particular record and safety. That is okay. These particular points I have already cleared, and the recording will be available with you in case of any law authority inquiring with you, right? Any question on this? Again, I am telling you these particular points which you may not face on a regular basis, but even if you face this particular point in your entire life, right, that may make or break your image, right? This is the reason why at the start of the program we are being clear about all these important points.
I just wanted to mention something out of an experience regarding confidentiality.
Yeah.
Confidentiality is like gossiping also, in the sense someone may have shared some good news with me, like they're getting married or they're getting an award. Even that is actually confidential. Like you cannot go around sharing a good news. People have the notion that the confidential information is only bad news or you should not share, but it applies to every news.
Good point.
It's gossiping, basically.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah. Thanks, Vikram. Next point about coach responsibility towards client is maintain, store, and dispose of any records, including electronic files and communications created during your professional interactions in a manner that promotes confidentiality, security, and the privacy and complies with applicable laws and agreements. So even disposing of the records, you need to be clear. That is by means you will store these particular records for what duration of the time and how you are going to dispose of this particular records, right? Then another point is remain alert to the indications that there might be a shift in the value received from the coaching relationship. So means you can ask me question on this. If so, make a change in the relationship or encourage the client or sponsor to seek another coach, seek another professional, or use a different resource. I will repeat this particular point, and I encourage you to either ask me question, or one of you should clarify me or add value to this particular point based on your understanding. I'm reiterating the point. Remain alert to indications that there might be a shift in the value received from the coaching relationship. If there is a shift or change in value received from the coaching relationship, make a change in the relationship or encourage the client or sponsor to seek another coach or seek another professional or seek a different resource is a point. So can someone comment on this for the clarity of everyone?
Yeah, so what I understand by this is very simple, in the sense that if you sense say unalignment between the coach and the coachee as the session is going on, or you see that both of you as individuals are not able to pace with each other and truly collaborate, rather than extending it and making it bitter, it is always better to take a pause and say that it is better that this particular assignment is taken by some other coach. So this is basically to avoid any repercussions that might exist, that might be there if there is a shift in values. There are two types of things that I see. One is, of course, the immediate effect of the client not being satisfied. The second thing is, coaching is really responsible and a highly important job or a profession where whatever the coach, the way the coach nudges the client might take those decisions. So if we sense that it is going against the client's values and there is a value mismatch as well, and it is not aligning well, I think it is time to take that pause. So it is again from the point of view of helping the client as well. So I see the two perspectives here.
Okay, means you have a bit of a different take on this particular statement. Whatever you have said is not wrong, but the meaning of this statement is little bit different. Any other comment? Any other? Yes.
Maybe
Yes.
while you're coaching, the coaching has started, and then you realize that this person requires counseling or requires therapy, and coaching may not help as much. They need much more than coaching. That's when this thing would apply.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that particular instance, definitely this point will be applied. So there is no doubt. You are right. There is more to this. So can someone else comment, like how Ashwin and Aditi
So,
has?
man,
Yes, please.
actually what happens, see, suppose we are having some sessions, we have gone in agreement, everything has happened, goal setting, and we are proceeding in that coaching process. But during that process, if we sense, because there might be a number of indications that the client is not happy with the process, or maybe initially he was taking much interest and afterwards we sense that he is seen less interested, maybe because of his feeling about our competencies, or maybe there might be some other reasons. So if some or the other way, if we are sensing that coach is losing interest, then in that case we may just ask for such things. If you are not satisfied, or if you are feeling that you are not getting what you are expecting, so you may just go for some other coach sort of thing. Does it mean like that?
So definitely you have a point. Means whatever you have said is right. Yeah. So
There's,
yeah.
There's one more.
Yeah. One.
Is that initially when one, like it happened to me today, I was having a coaching session today, and the goal was established that she wants to just do one particular thing, and then while the conversation came out, we realized that there are deeper issues. And one needs to kind of, she would like to get into that as well. So then I had to say that, that is a different topic and that would require a whole different number of sessions for that. So then the value, whatever contract had been made for a particular goal.
Correct.
And you can go into deeper stuff, then you need to have a different contract for that.
Correct. Good point, Aditi. This is absolutely matching with this particular point. Yes, you are right. Any other thought or any other Manan, that is, what is your understanding of this?
Yeah, I thought when we talk about values perceived by both the sides. Okay, so perhaps, yes, the interest is the client's or the coach's benefit. That's the ultimate goal, no questions about that. But in the process, I'm just guessing. You can correct me.
Yes.
There is a a default on whatever has been promised by the client in terms of the contracting terms on finance or financial commercial terms or whatever it is. That becomes an ethical question as to how, yes, you don't be governed exactly by the contract you have written. Perhaps this is mentioning about that because value perceived by both the sides. So one side, yes, we heard about 3 or 4 opinions, but the other side from the coach's point of view.
Yeah, yes. So Jagannath, you do have a valid point, because that is also a shift in the value or the relationship or the understanding. Yes, so you do have a point. I would like to hear one more comment from any one of you.
Can I say?
Yes.
So I'm maybe having a goal set with the coachee about a certain goal, and then I realized that in spite of me building the trust, the coachee is still not trusting me with the information, and 2-3 sessions they don't divulge more into information which would be necessary. At that point, I feel that I'm not adding value, and they're not trusting me, and I should let them go. And because there's no value added for the coachee.
Yeah. So
it's not negative, it's not positive, it's just staying the same.
Vikram, your statement is true. Yes. Okay. So since you have taken some different example, I will purposely take one different example. For example, we take a executive coaching case, and in an executive coaching case, we agree that is okay. For this, there will be 12 sessions, and I will charge, say, 5 lakh rupees for this. And there is a goal. There is a goal to develop the competency of that particular individual in some area. So this is a mandate given to a coach. Now, all the discovery session happened, everything happened, person is coachable, everything, and you start your relationship. Now, there are 2 things. In one thing, you are feeling that is okay, the client is so competent already, right, that the client may not require the 12 sessions to reach that particular goal. Now you are ethically responsible to go back to your sponsor and tell that although we have signed an agreement of the 12 sessions for the 5 lakh rupees, right, considering the client particular progress, I am going to close this particular into, say, 8 sessions only, and I offer you a, say, discount of 1 lakh rupees, or a price reduction or a fee reduction of 1 lakh rupees. Why? Because your agreement, for example, if the agreement is for only the competency development, forget about the sessions, and you have given a mandate, aap iska competency develop karo 5 lakh rupees. Then whether you do it in the 12 sessions or the 6 sessions doesn't matter. But your agreement is both competency development as well as 12 sessions. राइट? तो अगर आपको लगता है जेन्युइनली कि 12 सेशन की जरूरत नहीं है, then it is a right ethical practice on your part to go to the sponsor and tell them and revise that particular agreement. This is a one part, right? This is a, I can say, the positive part. Okay, there is a another part, that is you take the assignment with all this particular understanding. You already have some experience in the executive coaching and all that, but during that particular process you understand that is okay, this in this particular specific case, right, you are not in a position to really add great value, right? Means in there can be variety of the reasons, whether it is a trust reason or whether it is your competency reason, whether it is that person competency reason, right? Or it's a very specific industry where whether that competency has a different connotation, right? Means it is a very specific industry where that competency is getting evaluated or seen in a different manner, and then you understand that nahi, matlab, I think that I am not in a position to give 100% justice to this particular assignment. Go back and say, but of course, don't go back only with a problem. Go back with a solution as well. That is okay. I recommend that, okay, either this consultant, right, or this particular organization or a training program or a intervention program or this particular coach can be a better alternative for the organization. Believe me, if you lose few of the businesses like this, or if your business quantum gets reduced for this, you are establishing a extraordinary credibility and integrity into the market. And that is why this particular thought process has to be clear in your mind. That is, if you are not in a position to give the best possible value to the coachee, right, refer coachee or the sponsorer a supplement or totally another professional wherein they will get the best value. Very important, right? So this is the point.
Can I just say one quick thing?
Please.
So life happens, and something may happen in the coach's life that may take them off the game.
Correct.
So at that point, also, I think it'll be ethical to tell the coachee, please, I think I will not be able to add value with, and can you, I'll
Absolutely.
somebody else. Okay, got it.
Absolutely. Another point.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Another thing I wanted to check with you, and I think this is what kind of constitutes as well. So let's say you agreed on something, you started the coaching process, and you are personally having a school of thought, and the client is coming with an expectation which completely contradicts with that. Now, to an extent, let's say if you are able to be pliable to it and work along with that, it's good. But if there's a theory or a philosophy that you cannot subscribe to at all, now, I'm not saying the client's philosophy or theory is wrong, but that's not even about expertise, but that's not your belief set, or that's not something that you can work on, then probably it's a good idea to tell them that, working with me is not going to be within these parameters, and it might be a good idea to look at alternatives.
Amit, you are theoretically right.
So I'll probably try to explain this with actually an example.
Okay.
Let's say, a client comes to me to work on their medicals and the reports, everything, and we agree to work with what I work best, which is the natural cause of things. Now, a couple of sessions down the line, the client has come across somebody else who uses a lot of Western medicine, a lot of supplements, hormones, etc. Now, that could be right, but that's neither my interest nor my expertise. Personally, I do not even believe in using those things. But I think you can have a conversation with the client, letting them know that this is what you think, and leave the decision to the client on, whether they want to come along with you or take a pause. And
So basically, this should not be experienced at all, right? This is 100% preventable issue. So during your discovery session and the coaching agreement, right, you have to be very clear on the guidelines. That is, okay, we are embarking on this journey with this particular do's and don'ts and understanding. So if you are coming to know this in the mid of the coaching session, that means your preparation was not right. The way you have built that particular foundation of your coaching relationship is not adequate. So what I suggest, that is, be clear right from the start, that is okay, if I am helping you into this particular health domain or whatever that particular domain is, these are the do's and don'ts. Are you okay with this? If okay, then only you take the assignment. Na? So, I mean, so this is why I said you are theoretically right. But why it is theoretically right? Because a good manager or a good professional has to prevent things, right? So how you have to prevent? So once you are very clear, that is, you work in your health and wellness domain with some do's and don'ts and some ideology, that you need to clarify with the client upfront before you take that particular assignment. Okay, Amit?
Yeah, but like again, just trying to understand, what if, you know, the client has agreed and it's all good in principle, and like Vikram mentioned, life happens, they come across something, say 4 sessions down the line, and they come back to you and propose, hey, why don't we try this? So the first approach is, of course, this is not we do, this is what not we decided, and let's not go ahead with this. If it's thoughts then and you move ahead, great. But if the client gets adamant that no, I really want to try this.
So then there is a shift in value received from the coaching relationship, right? So then the client has to go for another coach or another professional. Okay? Yeah. Very clear. There is no ambiguity. Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, I have a question. I was faced with the situation where the client had, they finished their limited number of sessions, but they wanted to continue for an unlimited period of time. No, it was not a limited period contract, where they wanted to continue as a, you know, sort of a gratitude coaching, where they wanted to use the session to count their blessings and feel better for the week. So does that, I mean, I have never been sure whether that is, because coaching has always been looked at as something that is finite. It has to be over in X number of sessions. So how does that work?
Yeah, see, that depends on what is your individual ideology as a coach, right? For example, if that client is a paying client and they have already paid you and they want to continue that particular relationship in some way or another, in my opinion, there is no ethical problem in this, because right now we are talking about the ethical dilemmas or the ethical considerations in coaching. Why? For example, I am running one educational institute. Practically, once a student passes from my institute, I am not responsible for the student in future, right? But it is very clear to my team, that is, even after 5 years, a student wants some kind of assistant job or some kind of access to the library or for that any matter. So we welcome that, because for us, the relationships are lifelong. Relationship is not finite. Coaching agreement is finite. So if you think that by continuing on this particular relationship, but of course you give a different name to that particular relationship, that will not be subject, that will not be bound by coaching agreement. Your coaching agreement is over, your goal has been achieved, result has been given. Now the client wants this particular relationship of a coach and client in some another aspect, right? Now it is your call, right? Means whether you are in a position to spend that particular time and you find a value in spending that time, value for you as well as coaching, right? But if you think that, okay, continuing this relationship, there is some value for me and some value for coaching, then you can do it. There is no ethical problem. It is your decision as a coach, considering your ecology, right? Your time management, how busy you are, and what is your take towards relationship, because relationships are always lifelong. Agreements are finite, contracts are finite. So that is your call, Usha. Okay? Yeah.
Just
Very
one
beautifully
clarification. Sorry, Dr. Ajit, please go ahead.
No, it's okay. No. Very nicely explained. Very beautifully convinced. In fact, yeah, very nicely said by sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, Hemant sir, I have just to one more doubt. You gave an example, 12 coaching sessions, and okay, that's one scenario. And there could be a situation that you have set your goal for 6 sessions and a certain thing, and then you may, in the process of discovery, has to reset, and then it can extend to another 6 sessions.
Yes. It is absolutely all right. There is no ethical problem in it, because during the discovery session and during the agreement, you will have a clause, and it is not the only issue of the clause, but you also discuss with the client that is, as of now, we both think that 6 sessions are enough, but if the time will tell us that is okay, means it can be done in 4 sessions, or we have to extend the session. So we both need to be flexible. So that is the mindset you have to create from the day one. If you create that particular mindset, then there is no problem. You can extend it. You can renegotiate the entire package fees and all that. That is absolutely ethical.
So no ethical dilemma.
No, absolutely no ethical dilemma.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Hemant sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, Vikram. Yes.
What happens in case there's a clash between the coach's value and the coachee's values? The coach kind of realizes it, but needs the financial, contract because of finances. I'm just going to give a hypothetical example.
Yeah.
And, one simple example could be, the coach is, as you had said before, coach is vegetarian, but he doesn't like, or he or she doesn't like somebody who's non-veg. But another bigger example could be someone, the coach may be having values like, oh yeah, marriage to one person, and versus, you come across, there's many mindsets nowadays, polygamous relationships.
Yeah.
So there's a dilemma, but ethically he should not take somebody if it is clashing with his values, right?
Fantastic question.
Until unless the coach is really open-minded.
Yeah. Good point.
And you can't find everyone to be that open.
Then, Vikram, point taken. The answer is that, again, you are theoretically right, but practically you are not. Practically, irrespective of the difference in the values, a coach has to coach that particular person, and I will explain you why. The coaching mindset, competency, what we discussed day before yesterday, talks about coach mindset being flexible and open. What we are going to learn in Who Am I, as well as during this particular our journey, is that there is nothing right and wrong in our life, and you are going to believe it. Right now you might not believe it. At the end of the program you will believe it. And like Usha said, अगर end of the program में अगर आप believe नहीं करते तो हम अपना relationship continue करेंगे और तब तक बात करेंगे जब तक आप वो believe नहीं करोगे that everyone is right. So whether I am veg, non-veg, or whether I have some black and white things, right? As an individual human being, means the coach is an individual human being. I have rights for my biases. But when I put the hat of a coach, now I do not have the bias. I will try to understand the values of my client. That is from where client values is emerging. I'm not interested in my values. Who am I? Right? The coaching is coachee-centric, client-centric. So you will understand the client, you will understand the root cause of their values, and you will coach that. So there is no untouchable, right? Okay. The only condition is the person has to be coachable, right? But there is no untouchable in the coaching. You cannot say that the person is of some XYZ particular religion or particular thought process, and that is the reason that person is not coachable. Of course, means as an individual human being, you can say it, but then you are not a truly professional coach, right? So a truly professional coach will not think about the value, individual, personal based value difference between the coach and coachee. They will only try to understand the coachee and coach according to the value and the belief system of the coachee in a direction towards the goal. For example, any of the coach's value and belief system is coming in between coachee achieving the goal, then only you will work on the value and belief. If it is not related to the coachee achieving their goal, then you will utilize their strengths to basically achieve the goal, right? So this particular value conflict should not come. A wise coach is a person who is above all these things, right? So he can deal with any person of the any values and belief system. Yeah. So, and that we are going to learn. We are going to learn that we are all part of say the God or the God particle or the divine universe. So where is the question? So only that person is wearing some blue goggle and you are wearing a green goggle. That is the only difference. But as a human being, we are all connected, right? So there is no bad human being or a good human being, barring exceptional cases. ठीक है विक्रम? हो जाएगा ये step by step. We will get more clarity on this particular thing. Respect all parties' right to terminate the coaching relationship at any point for any reason during the coaching process. Whatever is the thing, right? So, means if the coachee wants to terminate agreement at any point of time, coachee is free to do so, right? So means again means that mindset coach has to have. Of course, there will be a exit session wherein you will understand that is why coachee has taken that decision. But respect that autonomy of the coachee to terminate the coaching relationship, right? Coach to be sensitive to the implications of having multiple contracts and relationship with the same client or sponsor at the same time, in order to avoid conflict of interest in situation. Means, for example, you are a trainer, you are giving a coaching, and during that particular coaching assignment, if you are proposing your own training program, means your organization's training program, now there is a conflict of interest, which you need to declare in advance, right? In advance, if you declare that is okay, so I am taking this particular coaching assignment or some coaching assignment with some organization, right? So at that time, you will declare that I already have my own training company. It might happen that I might propose few of the training programs for my own organization if me and coachee find it appropriate. So that declaration of the conflict of interest should be done in advance before the start of the coaching relationship. Point number one. Point number two, whenever these kind of sensitive topics will come, and they are going to come in especially few of our cases who are going to do the executive coaching or the business coaching, who are already OD practitioners and all that. Generally, means again, this is not what ICF is saying, right? So this is my point. Generally, when you are recommending or you are agreeing with the coachee, always give coaching multiple options. Do not give the option of only your organization's training or the intervention as an assignment or as a development. Give multiple. Why? Because you should be sensitive towards even getting that feeling in the mind of the coachee or a sponsor that is okay, you are doing the coaching, but you are promoting your own business. Promoting your business is, again, means I'm not against you recommending your own company's training intervention. I'm not saying that, but provided you have already declared that particular at the start of the thing, and you do not only say that is okay, you have the only this particular option for the assignment, you give the multiple options and let coachee and you together decide, or let you and sponsor together decide. Means, for example, if you give only one option, at that point in time, coach or a sponsor might accept that. Why? Because they are interested in getting the result quickly. But they will have that impression in their mind that is okay. In the cover of coaching, you try to promote your, say, training services, right? So are you clear on this particular point? Yeah, good. Yeah. Coach being aware of and actively managing any power or status difference between the client and coach that may be caused by cultural, relational, psychological, or contextual issues. Like, means this is a extension of what Vikram was saying. There is some difference in the value, there is a difference in belief system, there is a difference in culture. You being aware of that is also the ethical competency, also the code of conduct requirement. You being aware. Number one is being aware. Then only you can become sensitive. So the first is awareness phase, then you becoming sensitive towards to it, and then you having a client centric mind where your focus will be on the client's values and client's belief system and client's goal and what client wants to do, and not your values and your belief system. So this is the point. Disclose to the client the potential receipt of compensation and other benefits a coach may receive for referring client to the third parties. Like, for example, it is prevalent in a medical professional. Doctor क्या करता है, तुमको बोलता है कि ये टेस्ट करवाओ. You go that and the doctor has that particular cut. In a coaching profession, if you are diverting the client for any training company, any professional, any counselor, any therapist, or whatever is that particular intervention, and if you are getting any compensation or incentive for that, you need to declare that to the client. Tough है ना? But this is required. अगर ये आपने नहीं किया and अगर ये client ने अगर complaint की ICF को, then your accreditation will be cancelled. So this is a ethical competency to be transparent with the client. Clear है? Clear है ये transparency?
Is it ethical to have such a tie-up where you get paid?
In my personal opinion, no. In my personal opinion, but a few of the professions have that particular process, right? Have that particular process. So wherein in that particular process means if you do not do it, you might face consequence for your business relationship, right? Business to business, I'm not saying coach to client. I'm saying business to business relationship. So if you can avoid it, it is great. But if you can't avoid it, just be transparent with the client that this is the business practice. Means even if I don't want, this is the practice, what is happening. So you just be transparent with that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So now I'm going to cover a few of the important points for the time management. Yeah. Okay. Now you get a client information, email ID and the mobile number, right? So because he or she is your client, you cannot pass that information to any third party. Personal information like email ID and the mobile number, what client has given you is for your purpose. You cannot pass it on that particular information other than the coaching body, governing body, right? Means, for example, if the Mastermind Life has a coaching circle and you give that particular information to the Mastermind Life, it is all right. And of course, Mastermind Life then has to keep that particular information confidential. If you give it to the ICF, it is all right. And of course, ICF then again has to carry on that particular privacy and the confidential ethics, but you cannot pass that particular mobile number and email information to any other third party other than the coach governing bodies is a ethical standard. I hope that there is no ambiguity in this. It is bit simple. You cannot have sexual relationship with your client. You cannot have. Simple. Again, a very simple point, right? Means either you have to be in a coaching relationship or you have to be in a different relationship. Both the relationship cannot happen parallelly. Okay. Coach's responsibility to the society. Now, okay, first coach's responsibility to the profession. Then I will go to the society. Now the client, you are clear. Now I go to the coach's responsibility as a professional, and then I will move and end my brief with the coach responsibility to the society. As a professional, right, the coach identify accurately coach's coaching qualification, coach's level of coaching competency, expertise, experience, training, certifications, and the ICF credentials without exaggerating them. Generally, in a marketing, we tend to say something more. Means if you have, say, done a practice of 300 hours, you might tend to say, no, means I have already crossed 500 hours of practice or something. Do not do it. Just full stop. There is no discussion necessary. You think that you are impressing a client with this data and all that. People do not take decisions like this. I'm seeing 90% of the people do not take decision based on this kind of thing. They have already taken the decision. They want to just validate the decision, right? So be just transparent and true. Do not exaggerate anything. आपका अगर X qualification है, आपको वही बोलने का है, right? अगर आपने इतने ही घंटे की practice की है, आपको वही बोलने का है. So again, very difficult to do it. Means especially when you are promoting yourself, right? Generally, there is a human tendency to exaggerate the things, but it is unprofessional, right? It is unprofessional. It might give you some benefit at the start, but in a long term, it will never give you the benefit and it will be detrimental to you. And I have seen many examples in my life, so I am extremely clear on this particular point. Any question, any supplementary point on this point from anyone on this particular point? Not exaggerating your own competencies, expertise, experience, training, certification, and credentials is a point, right? So any comment or supplementary information anyone wants to add to this?
So not exaggerating means that they have to be communicated in a fluent and in a in a proper way, in a more you can say professional way, rather than being bloaty about it. So if that is the case, then can there be a better way of communicating rather than talking about it? Can it be done through email or maybe
No. The point is not about the way you are communicating. The point is about what you are communicating.
Oh, okay. So you don't have to fake your
right.
Something is what you're saying.
Now, for example, right? For example, in You, Me and Life, right? I'm not focusing on getting coaching assignment for say last 2 years period, right? Because of my focus on education venture. Now, when I am going to promote You, Me and Life, I can't say no. ये 2 years में मतलब हमारा पूरा वो business वगैरह चालू था सबको. No, sorry, wrong. We have to be transparent. That is, yes, company was formed. In the first year, we did the coaching business. For the last 2 years, we were not doing it. Now we are restarting our venture. So you need to be very transparent and clear, right? So that is what you are saying. Many times people have this habit of saying that means, for example, right? Means if I think that I am more competent as a business and executive coach, right? I have to say it, right? So, okay, means my main competency is into the business and executive coaching. Now, if I exaggerate, that is okay. I am a best coach, whether it is a business coaching or executive coaching or a relationship coaching, right? So it's a very thin line. So it's a very thin line where you have to take a call. That is the number one. Are you self-aware in the first place? Because the many people who are not self-aware may say something noisily, right? Because they themselves don't know that they are not expert, but they feel that they are expert. And right now, putting that particular point aside, I am saying that you are self-aware, and whatever is your self-awareness, you communicate, because people like a transparent communication, and that is why people will trust you. If you start your foundation with some lie or with some exaggeration, it might help you at the start. It might. I'm not saying it will help you. It might help you, but in the long run, there will be a loss to you. So whatever you are saying about your persona, your expertise, your competency, your qualification, number of hours of coaching experience, be right into that. Because I have seen the coaches, especially at the start, they say, no, I already have some 300, 500 hours of coaching practice and all that. When that person is saying, right, from that person's body language, I understand that that person is lying. And I'm not some kind of greatest psychologist on the earth, right? So the people have this particular innate ability, right? A sixth sense. उनको पता चलता है ये फेक रहा है, तो मतलब आपका कुछ बेनिफिट नहीं हो रहा है उसमें, आपका नुकसान ही हो रहा है. मैं आपको गारंटी के साथ बोलता हूँ, 90% of the people understand that you are exaggerating the thing. Do not exaggerate. Why I'm saying this? Because the coaching business is all about, means whether you call it as a business or the practice, the coaching practice is all about being credible, being trustworthy. Then only people will come to you. If you start by exaggerating, how a client will trust you? Because the coach is a very big thing, boss, right? Means you are exploiting the potential of that particular person, and you are taking that particular person to a different level. So what kind of presence you need to have? What kind of ethical standards you need to have? That is what I'm saying. Maybe in some kind of professions, exaggeration may not be that bad. Means I'm not saying that each and every profession has to be like this. I am especially talking about a coaching profession. You can't exaggerate anything. At the start, because of that, you will face trouble. Why? Because people will go to the experienced coach and all that. Few of the assignments you will lose. It is all right. Life is a marathon. We are definitely not running a 100-meter race. So this is on the professional competency, right? Now, your responsibility to the society. I will read 2-3 very important points. Avoid discrimination by maintaining fairness and equality. Right? Means I would like to say equality as well as equity in all activities and operations, while respecting local rules and cultural practices. Being globally, culturally sensitive is paramount. This includes, but not limited to, discrimination on the basis of age, race, gender expression, ethnicity, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, disability, or military status. So a coach has to be absolutely open.
Hello.
So,
Hello.
Is this Hyderabad only?
yeah, okay. So the coach has to be absolutely open. He is responsible towards the diversity and the inclusion in the society. This is the point number 1. Point number 2, recognize and honor the contributions and intellectual property of others. Only claiming ownership of your own material. A coach understands that a breach of this standard may subject coach to legal remedy by a third party, right? Means if you are taking a format from a ICF or from Mastermind Life, from any other organization, declare that I am using this particular format, this particular tool, this particular technique from this organization. So be very clear on the, and of course, the people who are having a corporate experience, for them it is a very basic things. But in a coaching, generally homemakers comes or young people come, they may not understand this. So I am expressing this. Otherwise, it is a common sense as far as the IP is concerned. But again, you need to be transparent. You need to declare that. And the last point, and after that, I'm going to basically iterate the pledge of ethics, right? So last point related to the responsibility of a coach towards society is coach being aware of coaches and clients' impact on the society. Coach adhering to the philosophy of doing good versus avoiding bad. So the coach is a human being with a goodness. That is the essence of being a coach. That is the real essence of being a coach. A coach always looks for adding value to the society, and that is the coach's responsibility towards the society. And now, means of course, we are going to discuss after this. Now I'm going to read the pledge of ethics of ICF professional coach, PC coach, right? What is that particular pledge? So listen carefully. Recording will be available. You will get this particular pledge on ICF website as well. This is the pledge. So please mute yourself because I am seeing some voices. Yes. Ajit, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Now I am going to read the pledge. As an ICF professional, in accordance with the standards of ICF Code of Ethics, I acknowledge and agree to fulfill my ethical and legal obligations to my coaching clients, sponsors, colleagues, and to the public at large. If I breach any part of the ICF Code of Ethics, I agree that ICF, in its sole discretion, may hold me accountable for doing so. I further agree that my accountability to ICF for any breach may include sanctions such as mandatory additional coach training or other education, or loss of my ICF membership and or my ICF credential. So this is the pledge of ethics of a ICF professional coach.